In this video, we're going to look at how we can perform calculations with dates and some of the functions that can help us. The first thing Zara needs to do is work out when the invoice are actually due. Now, for argument's sake, let's say they were due 6 days after the invoice date. All she'd need to do is click in E5, type equals, click on the invoice date, and add 6. Because dates are really just numbers, you can work with them like numbers, and there's our due date. Let's double-click to copy that down, and you can do subtractions with dates in exactly the same way. So I'm going to click into M5 and going to work out how much our invoice is overdue by. So I'm going to type equals, going to take our payment date and subtract our due date, and there you go. There's a function we can use to subtract days as well. It's called the days function. If I click into M5 and type equals day and make sure I choose days, plural, I specify my end date first. So that's going to be my payment date and then my due date. And you can see I get exactly the same answer. And I'll double click to copy that down. Now coming back to our due date, let's just check something, and that is what day those payments are falling on. So I'm going to click on F and press Ctrl+Shift+ to insert another column. You can also use your insert tool. And just a reminder, we can use our text function. I'm going to click due date, and remember we need to type quotes, DDD, close your quotes, and enter to get the day of the week, and you'll see we have a problem. A lot of these due dates are falling on Saturdays and Sundays, which in Australia are non-working days. And very often for these types of calculations, you need to take working days into account. And there's a function that can help us. It's called the workday function. Let's now change our example to say that the due date is actually 6 working days after the invoice date. So clicking back into E5, I'm going to type equals WORK and choose workday. My start date is still my invoice date, but this time I want to add 6 working days, so it's actually going to skip the weekends when I press enter. You see that has worked beautifully. No Saturdays or Sundays showing. Now obviously for different countries and different organizations, Saturday and Sunday are not always the non-working days. So Excel offers us another function similar to the Workday, but called Workday International. And this will allow you to actually specify what your work week actually looks like. So typing Workday International, I'm going to click my invoice date and a comma. My day is still 6, but next, for argument's sake, let's say we don't work on Sundays or Tuesdays. You'll see options down here that may fit your business, but if it doesn't, there's another option. You can actually give it a code, and the code looks like this. Open your double quotes, and then you need to type 7 zeros or ones. 1 representing a non-working day, and 0 representing a work day. Excel starts with Monday, so in our example, Monday is a working day, so we put 0. Tuesday, non-working day, so 1. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, zeros, and 1 for Sunday. Close your double quotes and enter. You'll see our due date has moved to 1 after the Tuesday because Tuesday is a non-working day. So I'll just copy that down. Wait, there's still one problem. I happen to know that in Australia, the 10th of April is Easter Friday, and that's actually a public holiday. The great news is that the Workday and the Workday International functions will allow us to take holidays into account. I'm just going to come to E6 for a moment and change just this one. When I double click, you'll see at the end, it allows me to specify holidays, but what I can't do is just type the date as I normally would. Because remember, dates are actually numbers, so one way of solving this problem is to use a date function. So I'm going to put in date. The year is 2020. The month is April. And Easter Friday falls on the 10th. Close my brackets, and that has taken the holiday into account. The problem is Saturday, Sunday, and Easter Monday are also holidays. And to have to start typing them all in is really going to be a pain. So a better way of dealing with holidays is to actually have them listed somewhere else in your workbook. And then just select them. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to come to E5, double click, and right at the end of my double quotes, but before my brackets, I'm going to type a comma. And I've got the holidays in the New South Wales holiday sheet. And I'm just going to select all those dates. So I can copy the formula down and then just press enter. It hasn't affected this first date, but when I double click to copy down, you'll see this is actually being pushed out to the next working day. That's not a holiday, which is Wednesday. Really clever. Now, on the other side of the coin, if we need to subtract working days, we have our NETWORKDAYS function. So let's come back to our overdue by, and let's work out how many days it's overdue by. I'm going to type equals NET, and you'll see again there's a NETWORKDAYS or a NETWORKDAYS International, and they work pretty much like the workdays. We'll just use NETWORKDAYS for simplicity. Our start date now, and this time notice we're putting a start date first. That's going to be our due date. Our end date is going to be our payment date. And our holidays, begin to specify that again. And you can see it has adjusted to only show us how many working days, not including holidays, it is overdue by. So quite a few functions we've looked at here. The days function for subtracting two dates, then workdays and workdays international for adding a certain number of workdays, and NETWORKDAYS and NETWORKDAYS International for subtracting a certain number of days.